The mining ship moved slowly through the darkness of space. Its metal hull was old and scratched from years of hard work. Commander Vecthoros stood on the bridge looking at the screens in front of him. His 6 eyes blinked one after another as he studied the readings. Something was wrong. "Sir, we are detecting something strange," said one of his crew members. The young Velthari officer pointed at his screen with a thin finger. "There are electromagnetic signals coming from near Jupiter. Very strong signals." Vecthoros moved closer to look. His species had been exploring space for thousands of years. They had seen many things, but these readings made no sense. The signals were too powerful, too organized. Nothing natural could create such patterns. "Change our course," he ordered. "We need to investigate this." The ship turned and headed toward the signals. It took 3 days to reach the location. When they arrived, every member of the crew stopped working and stared at their screens. Even Vecthoros, who prided himself on staying calm, felt his heart beat faster. Floating in space was a structure so large it seemed impossible. It was a ring, like a giant wheel, spinning slowly around itself. The ring was so big that their entire ship looked like a tiny insect next to it. The computers calculated its size, 2 million kilometers across. "This cannot be real," whispered Captain Thalmor, the military officer assigned to protect the mining ship. His hand moved to his weapon automatically, though he knew it would be useless against something so massive. Vecthoros called for Dr. Hyun, a human consultant who worked with them. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. Most people thought they were just myths, stories told to children, but a few still existed scattered across different worlds. They had no memory of where they came from. Dr. Hyun entered the bridge quietly. He was a tall man with dark hair and careful eyes. He rarely spoke unless he had something important to say. When he saw the structure on the screen, all color left his face. "Do you recognize this?" Vecthoros asked him. Hyun stepped closer to the screen. His hands were shaking. I have seen symbols like these before. In old ruins. In forbidden places." His voice was barely a whisper. "This is human." The bridge fell silent. The Velthari looked at each other nervously. Humans were supposed to be primitive, weak. How could they build something like this? Vecthoros made a decision. "We go closer." "Prepare the shuttle." The small shuttle left the mining ship and flew toward the massive ring. As they got closer, they could see the structure was old. Very old, dust covered every surface. Small craters showed where meteorites had hit it over countless years. But despite its age, the structure was intact. Not broken, not damaged, just sleeping. They found an entrance, a huge door that could fit 100 ships inside. The door was closed, but next to it was a control panel. Dr. Hyun placed his hand on it. The panel glowed blue. Ancient mechanisms came to life with a deep humming sound. Slowly, the door began to open. "How did you do that?" asked Thalmor, his hand still on his weapon. "I do not know," Hyun replied honestly. "It just responded to me." They flew the shuttle inside. Emergency lights flickered on automatically, creating a path for them. The inside of the ring was hollow, but it was not empty. Docked in perfect rows were ships. Thousands of ships. Each one was enormous, built for war. Their designs were sleek and deadly, covered in weapons that the Velthari did not recognize. Vecthoros read the name written on the entrance. Anchorage Point Midgard. He looked at Hyun. "What does that mean?" "Midgard," Hyun said slowly, as if remembering something from a dream. "It is an old word. It means the middle place, the place that must be defended." They landed the shuttle on a platform and walked through corridors filled with dust. The air was still breathable, kept fresh by systems that had run for hundreds of thousands of years without stopping. They found a control room with screens and displays. When Hyun touched a console, it came to life. Text appeared on the screen in a language that only Hyun could read. His eyes moved quickly across the words. His face grew paler with each line. "What does it say?" Vecthoros demanded. Hyun's voice shook as he spoke. "This is the Terran Defense Fleet. These ships, they were built to fight something terrible. Something that came from outside our galaxy. The humans won that war, but the cost was enormous. After their victory, they decided to sleep. They left machines to watch over the galaxy. They meant to wake up after a few thousand years. But they never woke up," Thalmor said. "No," Hyun confirmed. "Something went wrong. The machines that were supposed to wake them failed. And so they slept. For 500,000 years they slept." Vecthoros felt a chill run through his body. 500,000 years. The entire history of his civilization was only 200,000 years old. These humans had been sleeping since before his species learned to make fire. They continued exploring. In one room, they found something that made them all stop. It was a warning beacon, still transmitting its message in dozens of dead languages. Hyun translated it aloud. Do not wake the sleeping dragons. They rest because their war is won. If you wake them before their time, they will think you are the enemy. Do not wake them unless the great darkness returns. What great darkness? Asked one of the crew members. Dr. Hyun touched the screen again. Images appeared. They showed creatures that seemed to be made of shadow and hate. Ships that consumed light itself. Planets turned to dust. Stars going dark. An enemy that did not just want to conquer. It wanted to erase everything. The Devourers, Hyun read. That is what the humans called them. They came from beyond space, from a place where reality itself was different. The humans fought them for 10,000 years. Every species in the galaxy at that time fought together. And barely, just barely they won. Vecthoros looked at the thousands of warships docked around them. Each one was a weapon of unimaginable power. And the humans had built them all. His people, the proud Velthari who thought they were the masters of the galaxy, suddenly seemed very small. We need to report this, Thalmor said. The council must know. Yes, Vecthoros agreed. But as they prepared to leave, he noticed Dr. Hyun was not moving. The human consultant stood still, staring at one of the screens. What is wrong? Vecthoros asked. Hyun turned to face them. There were tears in his eyes. I understand now. I understand why I could open the doors. Why I can read their language. He touched his chest. I am human. My ancestors were humans. We are all descendants of the colony ships they sent out before they went to sleep. We forgot who we were. But the machines remember. The weight of that revelation hung in the air. Humanity had not disappeared. They had hidden themselves in plain sight, scattered across the stars, their children forgetting where they came from. And now, after 500,000 years, someone had finally found their sleeping fleet. The question was, what would happen next? Visitors, scientists, soldiers, and politicians from the Velthari Confederation filled its ancient corridors. They set up camps and laboratories inside the massive structure. Commander Vecthoros watched them all from his temporary office. He was no longer just a mining ship captain. The council had promoted him to lead the research mission. It should have been the greatest moment of his life. Instead, he felt uneasy. Every day they learned something new about the humans. And every day the humans seemed more terrifying. Dr. Minji arrived that morning. She was another human like Dr. Hyun. She worked as a language expert for the Confederation. The council sent her to help translate the ancient records. When she first saw the ring world, she cried. She did not know why. It feels like coming home, she told Hyun when they met. But I have never been here before. How can that be? Our blood remembers, Hyun said quietly, even if our minds do not. A third human joined them soon after. Lieutenant Jinho was a military analyst, sent by the council to study the warships. He was young and confident, always ready with a smile. But when he touched the controls of the human ships, his smile faded. Information flowed into his mind, images and knowledge that should not be there. I can understand how these work, he told the others, his voice full of wonder and fear. I should not be able to. I never studied this technology, but somehow I know. The three humans worked together, unlocking the secrets of the ring world. They discovered a museum section, a place where the ancient humans had stored their history. Councillor Zephyrak, the Velthari political leader, insisted on seeing it first. Zephyrak was an old Velthari with gray skin and tired eyes. He had lived for 300 years and thought he had seen everything. He was wrong. The museum came to life when they entered. Holographic displays filled the air, showing the story of humanity. They saw Earth, the human homeworld, green and blue and beautiful. They saw humans building their first cities, learning to farm, creating art and music. They looked so peaceful, Minji whispered, but the story did not stay peaceful. The displays showed humans reaching for the stars. They built ships and explored their solar system. Then they discovered faster-than-light travel and spread across the galaxy. They met other species. Some became friends. Some became enemies. Humans learned to fight, then came the Devourers. The hologram showed the day they arrived. Massive ships appeared at the edge of the galaxy, ships that seemed to be made from darkness itself. They attacked without warning, without mercy. Entire planets died in hours. The other species in the galaxy fought back, but their weapons did nothing. The Devourers could not be stopped until the humans stepped forward. "We will lead the defense," said a human woman in the hologram. She stood before representatives of 100 different species. "But you must all fight together. No more wars between us. No more hatred. We face extinction. We survive together or we die alone." The galaxy united under human leadership. They called it the Terran Alliance. Humans designed new weapons, new ships, new strategies. They taught other species how to fight an enemy that seemed impossible to kill. The war lasted 10,000 years. Jinho watched the battles play out in the hologram. He saw human ships charging into certain death to save allied vessels. He saw soldiers giving their lives to buy time for evacuations. He saw scientists working day and night to find weaknesses in the enemy. They never gave up, he said. No matter how bad it looked, they kept fighting. Finally, the humans discovered a way to win. They built a weapon that could close the dimensional rifts the Devourers used to enter the galaxy. The final battle consumed 3 entire star systems. Millions died, but humanity and their allies won. The hologram showed the aftermath. The galaxy was damaged, scarred by 10,000 years of war. Billions had died. Entire species were extinct. The humans were exhausted, their population reduced to a fraction of what it had been. "We will rebuild," said the human leaders. "But first we must make sure this never happens again." They built the defense fleet. 50,000 warships, each one more powerful than anything that existed before. They placed them here at Anchorage Point Midgard, orbiting Jupiter. They created artificial intelligence systems to watch over the galaxy and wake them if danger returned. Then they sent colony ships to distant worlds. Ships filled with humans who would forget their past and start new lives. "The galaxy needs life," the leaders said. "While we sleep, new civilizations will grow. Let our children be part of them." Finally, the military forces entered their sleep chambers. The hologram showed them, thousands of humans lying down in crystal pods, their eyes closing for what they thought would be a short rest. But something went wrong. The AI systems failed over time. Slowly, piece by piece, they broke down. The galaxy forgot about the sleeping humans. New species evolved and spread across the stars, never knowing that humanity had protected them. The descendants of the colony ships forgot who they were. The hologram ended. The museum fell silent. Dr. Minji was crying again. "We forgot them. Our own ancestors, and we forgot them." Dr. Hyun placed a hand on her shoulder. "They did not forget us. They knew we would forget. That was part of the plan. They wanted us to live free without the burden of their war." Counselor Zephyrak stood very still. His proud certainty was gone. "My people thought we were the masters of this galaxy. We thought we built this civilization." He looked at the 3 humans. "But you built it. Your ancestors. We have been living in a garden that humanity planted." Commander Vecthoros felt the same realization wash over him. Everything his people had accomplished, all their pride and glory, it was only possible because humans had fought and died to protect the galaxy 500,000 years ago. Lieutenant Jinho walked to another display. This one was different. It was a warning message, still active, still waiting to be read. He activated it. A human face appeared. It was a soldier, scarred and tired. "If you are reading this, then the Watchers have failed. The systems that were supposed to protect you are broken. That means you are vulnerable." The soldier's eyes were serious. The Devourers were not destroyed. "We pushed them back. We closed the doors they used to enter our galaxy. But they are still out there, in the dark spaces between realities, and they are patient," the message continued. "If the defenses have failed, the enemy may return. If they do, wake the fleet. Wake the sleeping dragons. They will know what to do." The face disappeared. "Just a precaution," Zephyrak said quickly. "The Devourers have been gone for 500,000 years. They are not coming back." But even as he said it, he did not sound convinced. None of them did. Dr. Hyun walked to a window and looked out at the thousands of sleeping warships. "My ancestors," he said softly, "sleeping for 500,000 years, waiting to protect us. Even though we forgot them. Even though we do not remember their sacrifice." Dr. Minji joined him at the window. "What kind of people do that? Who loves the future that much?" "Humans," Jinho answered. "That is who we were. That is who we still are, even if we forgot." Outside the window, the ancient warships waited in their perfect rows, silent and still. They had been built to protect a galaxy that no longer remembered them. But they were still there, still ready, still keeping their promise. And somewhere in the dark spaces beyond the galaxy, something old and hungry began to stir. Dr. Hyun could not sleep. Every night he saw images in his dreams, faces he did not recognize but somehow knew, places he had never been but remembered. The genetic memories were getting stronger. His body was trying to tell him something his mind did not understand. He walked through the empty corridors of the ring world late at night. The emergency lights cast long shadows on the walls. His footsteps echoed in the darkness. He felt drawn toward something, pulled by an instinct he could not explain. He found himself in front of a door he had never seen before. It was hidden behind what looked like a normal wall, but his hand reached out and touched a spot that looked like all the others. The wall opened. Beyond the door was a tunnel leading down. Hyun knew he should get the others, should call for help, but something told him this was important. He had to see. He went down. The tunnel ended in a massive chamber at the very center of the ring world. Equipment filled the room, machines that still hummed with power after 500,000 years. In the middle of it all was a command station with screens and controls. When Hyun touched the main console, the entire room came alive. Screens lit up showing star maps and data streams. A voice spoke in an ancient human language. Hyun could understand every word. Central command online. Genetic markers confirmed. Welcome, descendant. Hyun called the others immediately. Within an hour, Dr. Minji, Lieutenant Jinho, Commander Vekthoros, and Counselor Zefrak were all standing in the chamber. This is the heart of the entire station, Jinho said, reading the displays. His genetic memories were helping him understand the systems. From here, the ancient humans controlled everything. The fleet, the defenses, all of it. Counselor Zefrak looked at the controls with greedy eyes. Can we access the weapons? Study their technology? We should not, Dr. Hyun said firmly. These systems are still active for a reason. The warning said not to wake the fleet unless the danger returns. But Zefrak was not listening. He had already called for more Velthari ships to come. Military vessels arrived the next day, carrying scientists and soldiers. They wanted to board the human warships to take them apart and learn their secrets. This is a mistake, Hyun warned Vekthoros. We do not understand these systems. We could trigger something we cannot control. Vekthoros nodded, but he had his orders. The council wanted answers. They wanted power. We will be careful, he promised. A team of Velthari soldiers and scientists approached one of the warships. It was called Eternal Vigil, a massive vessel 50 kilometers long. Its hull was black as night, covered in weapons that could destroy planets. Captain Thalmor led the boarding party. They cut through an airlock and entered the ship. Inside, everything was dark and cold. Their lights revealed corridors that went on forever. This ship alone was bigger than most cities. Stay together, Thalmor ordered. Touch nothing unless I say so. But one of the scientists was too curious. He reached out and touched a panel on the wall. It glowed blue, then red. Then alarms began to sound. Back at the command center, every screen went red. Dr. Minji's hands flew across the controls, trying to understand what was happening. Her face went pale. They triggered a proximity sensor, she said. The ship thinks it is being boarded by enemies. It is beginning the awakening protocol. Stop it! Zefrak shouted. I cannot, Minji said. The systems are automated. Once started, only the ship's captain can stop the sequence. Then who is the captain? Vekthoros demanded. Minji pointed at a display showing a cryogenic chamber deep inside the Eternal Vigil. Inside the chamber was a human, frozen in time, sleeping peacefully. He is. Lieutenant Jinho was reading more data. The awakening protocol will take 72 hours. First it wakes the crew, then it powers up the weapons, then it begins defensive operations. Defensive against what? Asked Vekthoros. Against us, Hyun said quietly. The ship thinks we are invaders. When it finishes waking up, it will attack. Panic filled the chamber. The Velthari had hundreds of ships here now, but they were nothing compared to a human warship. If that thing fully activated, it could destroy them all. But then something else happened. Other screens started lighting up. Not just in the command center, but all across the ring world. Deep space sensors that had been dormant for 500,000 years suddenly came online. What is that? Minji asked, staring at the readings. Jinho's hands shook as he read the data. The sensors are detecting something at the edge of the galaxy. Something big. Many ships. Thousands of them, and they are moving this way. He pulled up the sensor analysis. When he saw the signature, all the blood drained from his face. No, it cannot be. What is it? Fekthoros asked, though he was afraid of the answer. The Devourers, Jinho whispered. The sensors match the same signatures from the old war. They are back. The room fell silent. Everyone stared at the screens showing the approaching threat. It had been 500,000 years. Everyone thought the enemy was gone, defeated, impossible to return. They were wrong. Dr. Hyun looked at the readings more carefully. The fleet is not responding to our presence. It is responding to them. The awakening protocol was not triggered by the Velthari. It was triggered by the Devourers. The defense systems detected the enemy and started the wake-up sequence automatically. How long until they reach us? Counselor Zephyrak asked. Jinho did the calculations. At their current speed? 3 months. Maybe 4. And how long until the human fleet is fully operational? Fekthoros asked. To wake all 50,000 ships and their crews? Minji checked the numbers. 6 months. Maybe more. Then we are doomed, Zephyrak said. The enemy will arrive before the fleet is ready. But Dr. Hyun was thinking. One ship is already waking. The Eternal Vigil will be ready in 72 hours. Its crew will be able to start the process faster for the other ships. And we have something the ancient humans did not have. What? Asked Fekthoros. Warning, Hyun said. The humans were surprised by the Devourers last time. This time they will wake knowing the enemy is coming. They will have time to prepare. Lieutenant Jinho nodded slowly. And we have our own fleets. The Velthari Confederation has thousands of ships. We can buy time? We can help. Counselor Zephyrak looked at the 3 humans. You expect us to fight? Against those things? Our weapons will do nothing against the Devourers. The record showed that much. Then the humans will teach you, Dr. Minji said firmly. Just like they did 500,000 years ago. That is what they do. They protect others, even those who forgot them. Commander Fekthoros looked at the screens showing the approaching darkness. Then he looked at the sleeping warships. 500,000 years these humans had waited. 500,000 years they had kept their promise to protect the galaxy. Get me a communication line to the Council, he ordered. Tell them everything. Tell them the Devourers are returning. Tell them we need to prepare for war. And tell them, Dr. Hyun added quietly, that the sleeping dragons are about to wake. Admiral Daehyun opened his eyes for the first time in 500,000 years. His body felt strange. Cold. The cryogenic chamber around him was draining the preservation fluid. Memories came back slowly. The war, the victory, the decision to sleep. He remembered his last thoughts before closing his eyes. Just a few thousand years, that was all. Then they would wake and help rebuild. But something was wrong. The chamber's display showed the date. Daehyun read it 3 times, certain he was making a mistake. 502,000 years. 500,000 years. The chamber opened. Daehyun stepped out into the medical bay of his ship, the Eternal Vigil. Medical robots immediately surrounded him, checking his vital signs. An AI voice spoke. Welcome back, Admiral. I apologize for the extended sleep. The caretaker systems failed approximately 490,000 years ago. You are being awakened now due to emergency protocol activation. The Devourers have been detected. Daehyun felt ice in his stomach. The Devourers. The nightmare they had fought for 10,000 years. How close are they? 3 months at current speed. The main fleet will require 6 months to fully wake. Admiral, there is more you need to know. The AI briefed him on everything. The systems failing. The galaxy forgetting humanity. New species rising. The colony ship's descendants losing their history. And now aliens discovering the fleet just as the enemy returned. Daehyun processed it all calmly. He had commanded fleets in the worst war the galaxy had ever seen. He could handle this. Take me to whoever is in charge of these aliens. 2 hours later, Admiral Daehyun stood in the command center facing the Velthari leaders. He wore his uniform, still crisp despite the ages. His hair was gray, his face lined with old scars. He looked tired, like a soldier who had fought too many battles. But his eyes were sharp, alert, ready. I am Admiral Daehyun, commander of the Terran Defense Fleet. His voice was quiet but firm. I understand you have questions. Counselor Zephyrak stepped forward. We need to know what happened. Why did you sleep for so long? Why did your systems fail? We slept because we were exhausted, Daehyun said simply. The war took everything from us. We needed rest. As for the systems failing, machines break over time. We should have known that. It was our mistake. Then he saw Dr. Hyun, Minji, and Jinho. He walked toward them slowly, studying their faces. When he was close, he reached out and gently touched Hyun's cheek. Tears filled the Admiral's eyes. "Children of the colonies," he whispered. "You carry our genetic markers. You are our descendants," he smiled sadly. "We sent your ancestors away to start new lives. We hoped you would be free of our wars, and you were until now." Dr. Minji was crying. "We forgot you. Our ancestors forgot you. How can you forgive us?" "There is nothing to forgive," Daehyun said gently. "We wanted you to forget. We wanted you to be free. That was the gift we gave you." Lieutenant Jinho stepped forward. "Sir, the Devourers will be here in 3 months. Our fleet cannot wake in time. What do we do?" Daehyun turned to look at the star map showing the approaching enemy. "We do what we always did. We fight, we buy time, and we make sure the fleet is ready when the real battle begins." He looked at Counselor Zefrak. "I need to know. Will your people fight? Your weapons are not strong enough to defeat the Devourers. Many of you will die, but every day you hold them back is another day for my fleet to wake." Zefrak was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. "We will fight. This is our galaxy too. We may not have built this civilization, but we are part of it now." "Good," Daehyun said. "Then we have work to do. Wake Dr. Sora first. She is our chief scientist. She will help upgrade your weapons. Wake Captain Minho next. He's our best pilot. He will train your fighter squadrons." Over the next week, more humans woke from their long sleep. Dr. Sora was a small woman with sharp eyes and quick hands. She looked at the Velthari weapons and shook her head. "These will not work. The Devourers absorb energy. You need matter-based weapons. Kinetic rounds traveling at near light speed. We can modify your ships." She worked day and night teaching the Velthari engineers how to rebuild their weapons. The modifications were simple but effective. Within days, the first upgraded ships were ready. Captain Minho was young, barely 30 when he went to sleep. He woke with the same eager energy he had 500,000 years ago. He took one look at the Velthari fighters and laughed. "These are toys. Beautiful, but toys." Then he stopped laughing and got serious. "But we can work with this. I will teach you tactics that do not require superior technology. Speed, coordination, sacrifice." He trained the Velthari pilots himself, flying with them in practice runs. He was faster than all of them, his reflexes enhanced by genetic modifications from the old war. But he was patient, teaching them everything he knew. Meanwhile, sensors tracked the approaching Devourer fleet. As they got closer, the readings became clearer and more terrifying. Dr. Sora studied the data with growing horror. She called Admiral Daehyun to the command center. Her hands shook as she showed him the numbers. "This is not a vanguard force," she said quietly. "This is their full swarm. Everything they have. And Admiral, they have grown. They are stronger than before. Much stronger." Daehyun looked at the projections. Millions of ships. Maybe billions. They had spent 500,000 years in the dark spaces between dimensions, growing, evolving, preparing for revenge. "How many ships do we have?" he asked. 50,000, Sora replied. "If we can wake them all in time." "And the Velthari?" 10,000 ships, but their technology is limited. Each one is worth perhaps 1/100th of ours. The math was simple and impossible. They were outnumbered 1,000 to 1. Admiral Daehyun called a meeting with all the leaders, human and Velthari. He stood before them, this tired old soldier who had slept through entire civilizations rising and falling. "I will not lie to you," he said. "The odds are bad, worse than they were in the old war. We are outnumbered. The enemy is stronger, and we have less time to prepare." He paused, looking at each face in the room. Velthari, humans, descendants of the colonies. All of them were afraid. All of them knew they might die. "But I want you to understand something," Daehyun continued. "We fought the Devourers before. We beat them, not because we were stronger, not because we had better weapons. We won because we refused to give up, because we stood together, because we decided that some things are worth dying for." He looked at Counselor Zefrak. "You asked me earlier what humanity wants. You wondered if we would conquer the galaxy now that we are awake. I will tell you what we want. The same thing we have always wanted. We want to protect those who cannot protect themselves. We want to ensure that life continues. We want to be the shield that stands between the darkness and the light. That is who we are." That is who we have always been. The room was silent. So I ask you now, Daehyun said, his voice ringing with quiet authority. Will you stand with us? Will you fight knowing you might die? Will you help us protect this galaxy that we all call home? Counselor Zephyrak stood, then Commander Vekthoros, then every Velthari in the room. They did not speak. They did not need to. Their answer was clear. Admiral Daehyun smiled. It was tired and sad but genuine. Then we have a chance. Not a good chance, but a chance. He turned to the star maps. Send word to every ship, every station, every world. Tell them the Devourers are coming. Tell them to prepare. And tell them that humanity has returned. Dr. Hyun stepped forward. Admiral, permission to join the fleet. Daehyun looked at him. You are a scientist, not a soldier. I am human, Hyun said firmly. And this is my fight too. Lieutenant Jinho and Dr. Minji stepped forward as well. All of us, Minji said. We want to help. Admiral Daehyun's eyes filled with tears again. Your ancestors would be proud. Welcome home, children. Welcome home. Outside the command center, the ring world hummed with activity. Ships woke from their ancient sleep. Weapons powered up. Crews emerged from cryogenic chambers. The Terran defense fleet was coming back to life, and at the edge of the galaxy, the darkness grew closer. The first battle happened at the edge of the galaxy, a place where stars were sparse and darkness ruled. The Velthari sent their upgraded fleet to meet the Devourers, hoping to slow them down. It was a massacre. The Devourer ships emerged from dimensional rifts like nightmares made real. They were black as empty space, their hulls absorbing all light. They moved with terrible purpose, weapons firing before the Velthari could even react. Ship after ship exploded in brilliant flashes that quickly faded to nothing. Commander Vekthoros watched the battle from his command ship. In 10 minutes, they lost half their fleet. The upgraded weapons helped, but not enough. The Devourers were simply too strong, too many. Fall back, he ordered. All ships retreat. But then new signatures appeared on the sensors. Human ships. Just 5 of them, but they moved with speed and grace that seemed impossible. Captain Minho led the squadron, his fighter twisting through space like a dancer. Velthari fleet, this is Captain Minho. We are here to help. Follow our lead. The human fighters dove into the Devourer formation. Their weapons were different, firing rounds that moved at incredible speeds. When they hit a Devourer ship, they punched straight through, ignoring the shields that had stopped the Velthari weapons. But it was not just the weapons. It was the tactics. Minho's squadron used quantum tunneling, appearing inside enemy formations and firing from point-blank range. They moved in perfect coordination, each pilot knowing exactly where the others would be. The tide turned. Not completely, but enough. The Velthari fleet escaped with heavy losses, but they escaped. Back at the ring world, Admiral Daehyun studied the battle reports. Dr. Sora stood beside him, her face grave. They are stronger than before, she said. The Devourers have evolved. They adapt to our weapons now. What worked today might not work tomorrow. How many ships do we have operational? Daehyun asked. 5,000. Another 10,000 will be ready in 2 weeks. But the full fleet needs at least 2 more months. We do not have 2 months, Daehyun said quietly. The Devourers are accelerating. They will reach the core systems in 3 weeks. Dr. Hyun entered the command center. He had been training with the human military, learning to use their technology. His body ached from the genetic enhancements they had given him, modifications that made him stronger and faster. But he did not complain. This was his choice. Admiral, I have an idea, Hyun said. It is dangerous. Maybe impossible, but it might buy us the time we need. Tell me, Daehyun said. Hyun pointed to the sun on the star map. The ring world was built with stellar engineering capabilities. The ancient humans could manipulate stars. What if we used the sun itself as a weapon? Dr. Sora's eyes widened. The Sun Forge, I thought that technology was lost. It is not lost, Hyun said. I found the plans. We can create a barrier, a wall of solar energy that will slow the Devourers. It will not stop them, but it will give us time. How long will the barrier last? Daehyun asked. Days, maybe a week, Sora calculated. But it will drain the sun's energy. There will be consequences. We will deal with the consequences later, Daehyun said. If we do not survive today, there is no tomorrow. Do it, the ring world transformed. Ancient mechanisms activated, drawing energy from the sun. The star itself began to pulse, its light intensifying. Then, like a flower blooming, waves of energy spread outward, forming a sphere around the inner solar system. When the Devourer swarm hit the barrier, they stopped. Their ships could not pass through the wall of stellar fire. They gathered outside, millions of dark vessels waiting, watching. Behind the barrier, humanity worked frantically. More ships woke every day. More crews emerged from their long sleep. Dr. Minji and Lieutenant Jinho trained alongside veteran human soldiers, learning to fight, learning to survive. The barrier lasted 6 days. When it fell, the Devourers poured through like a flood. Millions of ships all heading for Earth, for the ring world, for the sleeping fleet they meant to destroy. Admiral Daehyun stood on the bridge of his flagship. Around him, the command crew prepared for battle. He looked at the screens showing the approaching darkness. All ships, he broadcast to the fleet. This is Admiral Daehyun. For 500,000 years we slept. We dreamed of peace. We hoped the danger was over. We were wrong, but we are awake now, and we remember who we are. We are humanity. We are the shield. We are the sword. We do not fight for glory. We do not fight for conquest. We fight because others cannot. We fight because life is worth protecting. Today we stand with our allies, the Velthari who chose to fight when they could have run, the descendants who remembered their heritage and came home. All of us together. The enemy thinks they can break us. They are wrong. They broke us once before and we came back. They will break us again today, and we will still come back, because that is what we do. We endure, we protect, we never give up, and all ships engage. The human fleet launched. 30,000 warships, each one a weapon of terrible beauty. They met the Devourers in the space between Mars and Jupiter. The battle was like nothing the galaxy had seen in 500,000 years. Human ships used tactics the Devourers did not remember. They coordinated perfectly, each vessel supporting the others. When one ship was damaged, 2 more would move to protect it. When the enemy adapted to one weapon, the humans switched to another. Captain Minho led a wing of fighters deep into the enemy formation. His target was the hive mind nexus, the central intelligence controlling the Devourer swarm. It was a suicide mission. Everyone knew it. This is Minho to all wings. I am going in. If I do not make it, tell my family I died doing what I loved. He paused. Flying. His squadron dove toward the massive Devourer command ship. Enemy fire destroyed most of them. But Minho made it through, his fighter damaged but still flying. He crashed straight into the Nexus, his ship's reactor going critical. The explosion was small compared to the size of space, but its effect was massive. Without the hive mind to coordinate them, the Devourer ships became confused, attacking each other, moving randomly. Dr. Sora saw the opening. She activated her secret weapon, something she had been building in the weeks behind the barrier. It was a device that manipulated entropy itself, the natural decay of all things. When she fired it at the Devourer fleet, their ships began to age. Thousands of years passed in seconds. Metal corroded. Systems failed. The seemingly immortal enemy turned to dust, but there were still millions left. The battle raged for 3 days without pause. Ships on both sides were destroyed. Good people died. Heroes fell. The space around Earth became filled with debris and flames. Dr. Hyun fought on the ground, defending the ring world when Devourer boarding parties broke through. Dr. Minji worked in the command center, coordinating the defense. Lieutenant Jinho flew with the human squadrons, his genetic heritage finally awakened, making him as skilled as any veteran pilot. Slowly, painfully, the tide turned. The combined fleet of humans and Velthari pushed the Devourers back. Not through superior numbers, but through superior will. They refused to break. They refused to surrender. Finally, Dr. Sora found it. The dimensional rift the Devourers were using to bring reinforcements. If they could collapse it, the enemy would be cut off. Admiral, I need every ship we have left to focus fire on these coordinates. She transmitted. Understood. Daehyun replied. His ship was damaged, leaking atmosphere, but still fighting. All ships form up on me. This is our final push. What was left of the fleet gathered together. Maybe 10,000 human ships. 3,000 Velthari vessels. They charged at the rift, firing everything they had. The rift began to collapse. Devourer ships were caught in the closing gateway, torn apart by dimensional forces. The remaining enemy vessels tried to retreat, tried to escape back through the rift. They did not make it. When the rift finally closed, silence fell over the battlefield. The Devourers were gone, dead or trapped on the other side of reality. It did not matter which. The war was over. Admiral Daehyun stood in the ruins of his command center, surrounded by exhausted crew members. They had won, but the cost was terrible. 60% of the human fleet was destroyed. Thousands of Velthari ships were gone. Captain Minho was dead. So many others had died, but they had won. 2 months later, the ring world had become a place of rebuilding. The remaining human fleet was repairing itself. The Velthari were learning human technology, becoming stronger. New ships were being built, designed by both species working together. Dr. Hyun was appointed as the official liaison between humanity and the galactic species. He would help the descendants reconnect with their heritage. He would make sure the mistakes of the past were not repeated. Admiral Daehyun stood with Counselor Zefrak on an observation deck, looking at the reconstruction efforts. The old Velthari leader seemed different now, humbler, wiser. What now? Zefrak asked. What does humanity want? You could rule this galaxy, your technology, your power. We could not stop you, Daehyun smiled. We want what we have always wanted, to protect those who cannot protect themselves, to make sure life endures. We are not conquerors. We are guardians. Will you sleep again? Zefrak asked. No, Daehyun said firmly. We slept once and almost lost everything. We will not make that mistake again. We will stay awake. We will stand watch. And this time we will not be alone.